Plaintiff Chana Speller says the defendant is her older sister, and when she was younger, the defendant helped raise her. Chana claims their relationship changed because the defendant started choosing men over her family, and now she's chosen her husband over her family. Chana's suing her sister for the balance due on a loan. Defendant Shania Perkins says when Chana was a child, Shania did everything for her and their siblings. And as they got older, she even took them on trips. Shania believes that Chana and the rest of the family are just jealous because she is now doing those things with her husband. And she feels Chana is suing her prematurely.
Start with you.
My sister and I have a relationship as far as when we was younger, it was like a mother and daughter. When my mom wasn't home, she was there. She cooked, she cleaned, she took care of the family. As time got, further down the line, we grew up. We had a pretty okay relationship. Her men, pretty much, she oversided with them over her family. But it was...
In what way? Tell me an example or two.
Like if we didn't care for them, how they treated her, it was like, well, let me deal with it the way I deal with it.
Give me an example.
It was...
Did they beat her or something?
No one beat her.
Okay, well, what do you mean?
Like
if they didn't care for what?
Like attitude.
Well, if y'all didn't care for her boyfriend's attitude, and y'all say something about it, she sided with her boyfriend.
A little bit, yes.
What's wrong with that?
You
come in and tell me how you don't like my girlfriend's attitude. I don't like your girlfriend's attitude. You need to leave her alone.
No.
I like her attitude.
Pretty much.
She might like a man with a little attitude about him.
I guess so.
As long as he wasn't jumping on her.
No.
You all right with a man with a little attitude, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I don't like your girlfriend's attitude. You need to leave her alone.
No.
I like her attitude.
Pretty much.
She might like a man with a little attitude about him.
I guess so.
You all right with a man with a little attitude, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Plaintiff Chana Speller is suing her sister, who she claims chose her husband over her family.
What else? Give me another example of why you feel she sided with her man over the family.
Well, her husband now, before he was a husband, he was supposed to be producing her music and her CD, poetry, and her book. But then all of a sudden, he didn't have anywhere to stay and stuff like that. So he started sleeping on her couch, and then next thing you know, they was together. Then it's like when I asked her to watch my baby, and she said, she could do it. When she watched them, it was like phone calls back to back while I was in class, because I feel like it was because of him, because he had stuff to do as far as his producing, and he didn't want the child there at the time.
That's what you believe?
Yes.
Did he tell you that?
No, it's just the way.
Okay, so let me get this scenario then. Before she married her husband and they were boyfriend and girlfriend and living together, she babysat for you. She was calling you while babysitting for you, which is not unreasonable. You didn't like the fact that she was calling you. And you think it was because her boyfriend, who became her husband, was putting her up to calling me.
But it's other
because he had things to do. And she sided with him, as she should have.
A little bit, but...
Go ahead.
There's other...
Let me hear from you about your relationship with your sister.
Sir, quite frankly, I'm hurt. As she said, I think the underlying problem is that they've never cared for my husband.
Why do you think that is?
I think the reason is that I worked over half my life helping my mother. My mother had 6 of us. She was a single mother. And I wanted to make sure that, being the oldest, that things were easy on her, as easy as possible. I worked to put myself through school. I have a master's degree. I worked in the evenings, working 2 jobs sometimes, also trying to do books and CDs, just to make sure I was successful in some facet of life. And at the same time, I helped her any way I could with them. doing trips to Disney World, Universal Studios, stuff that she couldn't do when we were young because she was a single mother. And then when I got older and I got a serious boyfriend, I started doing those things with him because I was making my own family. And I think that has torn my family apart because I'm not there 24/7.
That sounds like a good analysis based on what she is saying
But
today.
there's
All
more
right,
to
you're
it.
suing her for a loan. Tell us about that. Tell me
Because
about that.
in February, she had called me.
February of what year?
2014. She had called me and she said, like, she was getting evicted and she needed some, extra cash, and she was explaining her story. So
Not
I said,
evicted. I have a child, and I was also pregnant, and I was living in a condo, and my lease was up, so I needed to get another place quickly so that I would have room for
She didn't
the
receive a
baby.
court order? She didn't receive a notice to quit or a notice to get out?
Yes, she did. She had a deadline to get out. That's what
No,
she
a
told me.
notice by the court.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, then you don't know if she was being
But
evicted.
that's what she had told me, Your Honor.
Go ahead. And so what happened?
She told me that her landlord told her she could no longer stay there and make the next, year lease, that she had to leave.
Let's get to loaning her the money.
Okay, well, in February she had called me, like I said, and then I was kind of not wanting to do it because she didn't have a job, so we talked about it, and she said, well, I could pay you back no later than May 21st. And I said, okay.
How much?
It was supposed to be $1,000 total.
Okay, and this was in February?
No, this is February. We talked the first time about it.
When did you loan her the money?
March the 11th.
You loaned her the money March, and she was to have it repaid
By May
in
21st.
and she wasn't working.
No, she's
How did you expect her to repay you?
her husband was supposed to help her pay me.
And they were living there?
They was living in a home together, yes.
Okay.
Plaintiff Chana Speller is suing her sister, who she claims chose her husband over her family.
He worked, obviously.
Yes, yes, he did.
But that's what?
That's after she worked for 2.5 years and took care of him.
No, we're talking about during this time frame. Here you go again. You worried about her helping her own husband. You got anybody?
Yeah.
I'm tired of this. Keep putting this woman down because she helped her husband. Now, you done went too far. All right, so she told you she would repay you by getting money from her husband?
They were supposed to pay me back together.
Okay. All right, even though he...
But they did pay me back $50.
Okay, when?
It was in May, sometime in May when my phone got cut off. She went ahead and got my phone turned back on for me, and it was $50.
Your phone was evicted. Go ahead. Let me hear from you, ma'am, about this law.
Okay. I wasn't working at the time, but I had interviewed for a local college. So they told me that I had the option to start in May. So I thought that I was going to be able to start, but my daughter actually came a little later than she didn't come until they gave me a date for a C-section. So she came the day before they were going to give me the C-section.
When was that?
That was May 10th.
That's when your daughter arrived? Okay,
Yes.
Congratulations.
So because of that, they said I cannot start until August.
Do you have a husband that has income?
Yes, sir.
So what happened to repaying her with that money? It is joint.
He works in the elements, more or less.
What's that mean?
As an electrician, but he works out on a bridge. So if there's a wind factor, we've had some crazy weather, he's unable to go to work during those
So it's
days.
been windy from March. It's been windy
No,
all
sir.
over. Been too windy since March for him to work, all right? So that doesn't sound reasonable, ma'am. I'm going to grant you judgment for $950. She has had a reasonable amount of time to pay more than $50 for sure since her husband was working. Good luck to you. $950.
Thank you. Put Janelle before anybody, and it's not right. Putting mom out, putting my kids out, that should never have happened.
Well, I love you and I love my family, but I have two families now. I have you and I also have a husband and kids. And I hope one day we can all come together and
No,
my
because
family
he
can
don't want to,
understand
and that's-
that I
I'm
have
done.
a whole family.